Hello, all you wonderful people. I'm Lisa with Living Life with Lisa, and I want to remind everybody that watches these videos to not forget to comment down below and give it a like if you feel like it. The comments help YouTube know that people are interested in the video, and that way it gets shared a little bit better and is easier to find. So you can help me out that way if you don't mind. And so today, right now, we're at Taekwondo. I just dropped Jesse off. His class starts in about 20 minutes. He has to change clothes. For some reason, his Taekwondo instructor doesn't let them wear the uniforms in. They have to change when they get in there, which is different from when I went. We changed before we got there. It was faster that way anyway. And so I've been working on trying to think of like a story time, and one came up today, and it's not a good story. It's kind of a sad story, but it is a story nonetheless of something that happened, that went on here, and it's a local situation. And so I know some people that watch this, and everybody has strong opinions, and they're one way or the other. So I won't tell you which way I land. However, my sons, when they watch this back, and as I record these, it's a lot of stuff for the boys to watch and to have the stories and whatnot. They know where I stand on this topic. But anyway, it's gonna be a story time, and we're gonna go back to 1989, and there was in April, the last weekend in April, last Saturday was the LaVille prom. And LaVille is where, I think I just gave you too much information, but LaVille is where my kids go, where I taught. And so we all have, it's a small community. And so Saturday night was prom night. And so the kids, did their regular, boys washing cars and girls getting their hair done and whatnot. And they went to, so they had the prom. They went to prom. And then the next day, you go to prom, and then there's post-prom, after prom. And between prom and after prom, you go back home, or you go to your date's house and you change clothes, and then you go back to the post-prom, which is kind of like a party, or a dance or something. I mean, it's more relaxed. I was trying to explain post-prom to my son the other day, and I was doing a poor job. I'm doing a poor job right now explaining post-prom. So anyway, they had post-prom, and then a bunch went to, and it's not unusual here, a bunch went Sunday then to Great America over by Chicago. Well, being Sunday morning, one of the churches in the area, in our district, the congregation all came in, and they were waiting, and the preacher never showed up, or any of the pastor's family. And so a couple of the elders had a key to the parsonage, And so they went over to see, and all the doors were locked and all the blinds were drawn, which was unusual for this particular family and for a lot of people in that area. It's not uncommon to leave doors unlocked around our neck of the woods. And so they went in there, and the first person they found was the pastor, who had been shot and was dead in the hallway. And then they went through the house looking for the rest, and they found his wife and her two of her 3 daughters dead, huddled together. She had her arms around them, and one was 5, and the other one was a kindergartner, and one was in 2nd grade. I think 5, and I think 7, but I'm not sure. But they had an older sister. It was a blended family. Her husband had died, and she had 3 girls, and her oldest was 9, and had spent the night with a friend. And then the pastor, was a widower, and he had 2 kids, a boy and a girl, and they were a little bit older. If they hadn't been a blended family, the ages would have worked out the same. So I think when they got at this time, though, the oldest was 18, and then I think, don't hold me to this because I don't know if this is right. And I think his sister was 15, and then the oldest of the mother bunch was 9. Well, the sister that was 15 had gone to like a church retreat that weekend, and so she wasn't home that weekend either. And the oldest brother, the only boy in the family, he had gone to prom and post-prom and had gone to Great America. Well, of course, when the elders church people found the murders, they called police, and police came and roped everything off with police tape and everything. There were a lot of people in and out, and I guess it caused some problems with evidence. But anyway, that's not part of my story. So anyway, what happened was it's so hard to tell this story and not use names, but I just really, I'm torn about it because I know that local people watch this and they know who I'm talking about, and I don't want to disrespect anybody's feelings, because it's still a very sore spot in the community. It's a very sad, we all remember it as yesterday, and it's one of those things, you know where you were when you found out about what happened. But anyway, so the 9-year-old, the mother of the girl she spent the night with brought her home, and there was police tape everywhere. And she was taken back and stayed with the friend. The police went and picked up the other sister at the retreat, and then the FBI, because Great America is in Illinois, it's across the state line, because we're in Indiana, and Great America is in Illinois, across the state line. The FBI got involved, and so the group that was up at the Great America, the FBI came in and they picked up the group and took them all into one of the buildings to question them, and then all of them had to have parents come and get them and sign them out. And then the son, he was kept in custody and asked a lot of questions. It was, they found the problem comes in that he had been told he couldn't go to prom, and then his dad felt bad for the date that she'd already gotten a dress and everything, and so he said, okay, but it's only for her, and I'll let you go to prom, but no post-prom, and of course no Great America. And so he had been out washing the car, getting it ready that day, and a lot of the kids, seniors, had stopped by to show the pastor and his wife their outfits for prom. And one couple, they weren't dressed yet when they had stopped by, and the pastor said, well, after you get changed, come back so we can see you in your prom clothes. Well, by the time they got back, about a half hour later, everything was shut up, the car was gone, the doors were locked, the shades were down, and they knocked, and nobody was home, and they just figured they'd all gone somewhere, but they thought that was odd that he had told them to come back so they could see their outfits, or their clothes. And so anyway, a friend of mine that was a teacher at the same time, his daughter was a senior that year, and she came home between prom and post-prom, and he was sitting in the living room watching TV, and she was laying down on the floor, and was laying on the floor with her head in her hand like that, watching TV with him, waiting for the post-prom to start so that she could go. And all of a sudden, she just sat up and she looked at her dad and she said, you know what's weird? And he said, no. And she said, such and such is at prom, and his dad told him that he couldn't go, and now he's gone to post-prom, and he's going to Great American tomorrow. Don't you think that's weird? And my friend just said, yeah. And she went back to putting her head back in her hand and watching TV, and he went back to watching TV. Nobody ever gave it a thought. Well, as word got out, there were very mixed camps about what had happened. There were a large group of people that believe that the son did it, and there's a large group of people that don't think the son did it, and that somebody else came in and took care of for whatever reason, murdered this family. Well, the reason it's kind of come up today is that there was a book written several years ago called let me go back. I didn't finish the story. So nothing was ever, the weapon was never found. There was never enough proof to convict anybody, and so it became a cold case. And some other things happened through the years that I would rather not say on here for legal purposes. And anyway, so the boy, the 18-year-old boy, actually got married and has a child now, and it was probably, I don't remember what year it was. I know where I lived, and so it was after 95, and it was before 2005, so it was somewhere in between those dates. But it would have been in the earlier part. It'd been late 90s. So this kid, now man, was doing business, and he had gone. We got a new prosecutor up in the county, and they reopened the case. And he had gone for work somewhere, and had lived in Florida, but he flew into California. And when he flew into California, the police were waiting on him, and they arrested him and brought him back here. And he had a jury trial. The jury found him guilty of the murders, and he is serving 400 and some years for the deaths of his two stepsisters, his stepmother, and his father. His biological sister believes that he's innocent. His stepsister, that was the 9-year-old at the time, believes he did do it. There's a book that was written several years ago by a local author that does crime books. And he wrote a book called The Prom Night Murders. And I bought the book, and I started to read it, and I could not continue to read it, because all of a sudden I was put back in that spot again that day that it was happening, and them describing what was going on. You know, it was just too real. And so I never completed the book. Well, I saw today, because somebody local shared it, and it was actually and I don't know where they got it, but it was an article out of, I think, California, because that's where the stepsister went, with grandparents, and the other sister went with grandparents in Kentucky. He was 18, so he was on his own, basically. But anyway, so it came out today that she wrote a book, and it is I Am Jessica. It's the name of the book, and it sounds like she has not fully recovered from it. She is now 39 years old. Can't believe it's been 30 years. She told her story, and somebody else wrote the book. So it's kind of like a autobiography, but she didn't write it, but she's the one that told the story. It was her cousin that actually wrote it down and had it published. But anyway, so I ordered it, and I'm going to try to force myself to read both books, because the commentaries in the comments when somebody shared this was that they are looking forward to reading this, because the Prom Night Murders left everybody with a lot of questions, and they want to see what she says. And so that's been foremost in my brain today up front, because you know, I ordered the book today. I just found out today that she wrote the book, got the book, and I just ordered it today. I'm a Prime person, so it'll be here Wednesday. Whether or not I can read it, I don't know. We'll see if it affects me as badly as Prom Night Murders. Because it's terribly sad. And the kindergartner and the second grader that were killed, when their classes went through and graduated, when the second grader would have been a senior and graduating, they had an empty chair with a rose on it for her. And they did the same thing for the kindergartner. when she would have been a senior and graduating. They had an empty chair with a rose on it, and it's just heartbreaking that had to happen. To my knowledge, no weapon has ever been found. But I don't know. I know people that sat in the courtroom every day and watched it. I chose not to. But it was funny, not funny, haha, funny, odd. The day that I used to get the paper, and I walked outside. It was in summertime, and it was a Saturday, and I was taking it kind of easy, when I didn't have kids. I didn't, probably had one little dog, and I decided to go outside and get the mail, and I went out there and got the mail and the paper and stuck it under my arm and talked to my neighbor for a while, and next door neighbor for a while, and then I went back in the house and left the door open because it's such a nice day, and laid my mail down, looked through my mail, didn't see anything important, unfolded the newspaper, and it said guilty on the top, and I literally screamed, and I thought, oh my gosh, my neighbors will be over here thinking I've been murdered or something, but they didn't. Nobody heard me. But it just seemed like, to me, it felt like a closure to something that I thought we would never find the end of. And now, there's still people that don't have closure for it. And so Jackie's hoping that, or not, sorry. Okay. Jackie is the biological sister of Jeff, who was convicted of killing his family. And Jessica is the stepsister who wrote the book. So Jessica is writing I Am Jessica, and Jackie believes that Jeff did not do it. Jackie believes he did. Jackie and Jessica apparently still keep in touch with each other. They just don't talk about that part. Which does my heart some good, because, that poor 9-year-old, she lost her entire family. She had no dad, she had no mom, she had no siblings. Everybody was gone. And so I can't even fathom. And so here we are in 2019, and 30 years later, and there's another book coming out, and this was prom weekend, 30 years later, and it's kind of ironic that it's all coming at the same time. It probably went by accident, I don't imagine. but people like me, I know what the I Am Jessica book is about, but it's not really clear. Like, if I hadn't told you guys, you wouldn't know what the book was about. But it's from her point of view. The prom night murders is pretty self-explanatory. You know that somebody got murdered on prom night, but you don't know where. I mean, you still got an idea, but the title doesn't seem to be. I understand why it's titled that, and I'm not going to go into it, but I just hope she does well. I hope she does well with this book, because bless her heart, she needs something out of this, some kind of, if nothing else, then maybe writing it down can be closure for her. And if she makes a few bucks along the way, good for her. Why not? Everything was taken away from her in a heartbeat. And I think she's right. She says if she had not spent the night with a friend that night, she'd been dead too. And I think that is probably true. Anybody in that house would have been dead. And so, anyway, that's the story. I since I've already told the names, I'll go ahead and give you the last name, because we refer to it as the Pelly murders here. It was the Pelly family. And it was just very sad. It was a very sad thing that happened. People became very afraid. People didn't want to leave normally when they'd leave teenagers at home, they wouldn't do it anymore. They locked doors. They were suspicious of each other because didn't know who did it. I think the general consensus of the people that were nervous felt like some people came in from somewhere else. The feeling was not that it was a local person. And so there you have it. You know, that's the story. And right now, Jeff has been convicted and is serving 4 life sentences for it. And I cannot believe that Jessica's 39 years old. It just blows my mind that she's that old now. And so that's my story time for today. It's kind of a downer, but it's also kind of hopeful, because I'm really hoping that, you know, Jessica can get what she needs out of this. She's had a life of a hard life because of what happened. And, you know, you think of a 9-year-old, and it's no wonder. She is married and has 2 children. So hopefully she's getting the help that she needs. I'm hoping this book is therapeutic for her. I hope that it helps her put some ghosts to bed. And I hope she does well on the book. I really do, because she deserves it. You know, why not? But if I think about it, I'll put links in for both the books in the description below. You have to push that little arrow down. But whether or not I will remember to do that, we don't know. We'll see. Live life to the fullest, because we're not guaranteed tomorrow. Live life with no regrets, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.